what is, the procreative ability. So what I mean is this: it's clear to me from the way that human anatomy works that God's original intention was for a man and a woman to have sexual relations and to, be able to procreate, bring forth children. And so, that was the hardest thing, because I thought, well, if God's intention was for two men to be together or two women to be together, then they would have a procreative ability. Okay, so that was my primary concern for the last few years as I was wrestling with this subject. And, but why have I come to be fully affirming? It's because a lot of things have changed since God created. And what I see from the science is actually, it's not completely conclusive, but there are, brain studies that have been done on the homosexual brain versus the heterosexual brain. It's very clear that there is a difference in many areas of the brain for homosexuals and heterosexuals. It is a physical difference. There's also studies and there's a book written and study done by a lady named Shanna Swan, and it's called Countdown: How Our Modern World is Threatening Sperm Counts, Altering Male and Female Reproductive Development, and Imperiling the Future of the Human Race.
Oh, the science tangents.
So although her study is primarily
this is really quite something,
sperm count, she also ended up measuring genitals of babies that were born.
Excuse me?
The mother was exposed to
lights,
and she measured.
Yes, pause the tape. Yes, sadly, pause the tape.
Are we going like
through the tape
before you
go ahead, Steve?
Yeah, I'm looking for my micrometer. I can't.
When I used to work in a lab, right, and we studied the evolution of human sexuality, and like the big piece of gear you always wanted to talk about was a plethysmograph. That's what they used to measure, flaccidity. Go ahead.
But like a newborn's package. Why? I woke up today and I did not expect I was going to talk about.
I can demonstrate. A newborn's package. An adult's package. Like that. The elephants in the room. That's the smallest elephant I've got.
Yes.
But,
So, but here's the thing.
See, eventually the little one grows up to be.
But am I wrong in my intuition tells me though that your initial morphology down there is not indicative of what it will be just at maturity. Not necessarily, like, because there's a bunch of developmental factors that play the development of the tissue. Like it
hormones
isn't everyone's about the same at the start. So like if this lady's running around like there's just a chick in the stirrups, and she's like, hang on, did it come out yet? I gotta measure that thing.
Yeah, I mean, but what's crazy is to be honest, this is the type of research people do,
But I think that's deeply flawed. But I have to read this shit.
It's anything for science. I've had to do some. It was weird. So I worked in you jokingly call it like the sex research lab, right? Because this was the lab where you study sex. So that's weird when you're in the anthropology department. People treat you guys differently. Oh, you guys the Puts lab. Oh, you guys do that weirdo pervert stuff. But our stuff was actually relatively mundane, because you're studying stuff with adults and you're bringing them in the lab and you're measuring them and this stuff, and it's fun. But you realize that, man, there's people who do some really weird, somebody's got to go study the monkey genitalia and figure out what their orgasms are like and how much semen is in the volume of their loads.
How much
and
juice do you
how
produce?
much sperm, exactly, how much juice do you produce?
Yeah,
people collect this data, it's
you're
a job.
absolutely right, Jay. Somebody's got to be a cock teaser at Roosterama. Come on, give me a break.
Oh man, you guys are science lovers. You don't realize, man, this is dirty jobs
This
out there.
is the Science Channel. Nothing.
Actually, tangent. I actually had a friend in my like former church or whatever. One of his first biology related jobs was a place called Sexting Technologies. And I know what you're thinking. It has stuff to do with cell phones. You're wrong. This is taking bull semen and finding the best bull semen and impregnating cows. And that was his job.
Oh my
Analyzing bull semen.
Yeah, they were doing some artificial selection type of stuff. They were doing evolution experiments.
The effect of pesticides and phthalates on reproductive development and on sperm count, and found that higher levels of phthalates caused physical changes. It actually caused physical changes in the developing baby. And so, there's other things that have been done, with, for example, and this, was publicized, but phthalates have had an effect on, they did a study on frogs exposed to, actually, it was a pesticide, a certain pesticide ended up having less male characteristics and ended up, only wanting to have procreating with other males. So there are scientific things that are contributing to people being gay. It seems that is true. Okay. And also, even if we didn't have, and we don't have conclusive science on this, but we do have the experience, the described experience of gay people. And if I take seriously their experiences, it seems that this is a way they were born, where
God, I hate having to this is so weird but we are on hashtag Team Becky tonight. We're just gonna whoop her ass in the process because it's Rebekah Davis. Come on now. But there's a couple things here. Like she really does reach for genuine science when it comes to supporting these things. She genuinely does try to represent, to the best of her ability, the scientific consensus on a matter like this. And it's a bit like, okay, you got the prerequisite ability to investigate scientific questions in earnest, let's just add a couple questions to the list of topics, for which you're willing to do so. But the other thing that came up here that I've really been noticing lately is she brings to bear the importance of a person's lived experience. And to me, that's important because I hear a certain degree of part of the apologetic toolkit is, well, the jury's still out, and so we're just going to need some more evidence, and when we have a little bit more complete data, maybe we can revisit. And I'm like, I hate to say it, but this is a kind of scientism that is unethical with the actual means and process of science, right? You don't use what scientific knowledge we have or don't have as a reason to, not treat people well, or it's this weird thing where it's like we don't have to settle an issue if we don't have the data. Instead of we just can't. There are just certain human issues that we may never have enough data on, and we still have to find a way to get along and not discriminate against each other.
Steph, do you know anything about the brain morphology, neuroscientific stuff that she mentioned at the outset?
Well, she's probably referring to research around brain structure that sees one particular brain structure. I can't remember specifically where it is in homosexual and trans people's brains. It's really not very well defined research. It's not there. It's like finding the gay structure or the trans structure, and to me it's a little bit scary. Maybe it's affirming, maybe it's not, but really it doesn't have anything to do with stuff. But if that's the way you find if that's how you find your way to treating people of a different stripe as people instead of as demons, then that's fine with me.
Right.
Whether it's medical or a Bible verse. I mean, however you get there, that's good, because that's what matters to me in my real life.
Yeah,
that's what impacts me.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting to me is that she'll appeal to this kind of like neuroscience, chemistry, brain morphology and stuff. But if she just would dig a little bit deeper into the neurokinetics of what goes on with our transmitters and stuff, then where the fuck is the soul, Rebekah? Good luck.
Yeah. This is the type of thing that is she has to be very nuanced, really, with how she cherry picks what science she'll go with and what she won't. And I will say something that I know a lot of my science colleagues probably won't like hearing me say, but I think is true nevertheless. You can believe God did whatever you want to, but you can't do so for scientific reasons. The common thing for a lot of these believers to do is say, well, there's science that says this, and science that says that, and science that says this, and there's science that says that, and all of this science shows us that God did X, and God made it, and God set it up, da-da-da-da-da. And look, I'm gonna just kick it to you old school, kick it to you like you would to, someone in junior high or something like that. Science is a process by which we find natural explanations for natural phenomena. So whatever science is telling you, it is telling you on completely natural basis. And so, it's sort of fine that they think this way and that they say these things. Again, it's certainly better that they come to acceptance, both of people who are different than they are and of the scientific evidence that we, use to understand the world around us, however they can get to acceptance of those things. But, if when we have the grown-up conversation about what being scientific really means, that's going to be a clear limit we have to put on that, and a lot of them kind of are not ready for that.
Whereas it
clearly
might be abhorrent to me to think about kissing or being intimate with a woman, it's just as abhorrent to them to think about it being intimate with a person of the opposite sex. So in light of these factors, I ask the question, what would Jesus do? And in our Lord Jesus, in the God of the Bible, I see many accommodations made for the way that people are, for cultural situations, for experiences that humanity has. And God often changes up what he does based on the situation that humans are in. So, I have sought God on this issue. I have read books. I have listened to people's experiences. I've listened to experiences and testimonies and read the books of ex-gay people, people who were living, gay, then they found Christ, and then they, no longer live that lifestyle. I think it's sinful. I've listened to the perspectives, and I have prayed about this a lot. And I believe that God's answer to this is that God is allowing same-sex marriage. And, that the primary thing with marriage is not about sexuality. It's about having companionship and this is a picture of who God is with us. So it's intimate relationship. And I believe that gay relationships can reflect God's desire for humanity, maybe not in every single way that a male-female relationship can, because obviously they can't bring forth children biologically, but they can reflect God's desire for human beings to be loved, committed, and faithful to each other for a lifetime. And that's what our gay Christian brothers and sisters are asking for. And so
all right. Yes, it sounds good. That was fucking beautiful, Rebekah. I ain't even go in front. That was she was speaking to my heart. That was like the old Christian in me was like, oh yes, that's that Jesus loves every ooh, she talking about that sweet, sweet Jesus. Yeah, that's it's a fucking myth. This is what it says, and this is, and I mean this so sincerely. Like the way Rebekah just put it, like that's how a lot of people are trying to accommodate these things, and I understand that. I'm sympathetic to it. I've been there myself. At the end of the day, the issues again, it's gonna come back to the book. As long as it says it in the book. And people are going to hold the book in authority. You're going to have an issue with people who hold the book in authority. But I'm not personally against any Christians, coming out of that nonsense. That was pretty. Go ahead, Steph.
Nothing. I'm just trying to refocus my camera.
Oh,
I mean,
Steph just wants to look good.
I really get the sentiments, right? Like that she doesn't want to adopt a position that she can see causes distress to people who want to live a life like pretty much the majority of society. And
yeah. Right.
I'm all for that, and when I considered myself a Christian, I did make myself a personal distinction between, again, the civic, rights and responsibilities of the nation to its people, and what I valued as a believer and what I would and would not allow in my own church. And and I had the freedom to do that. Right. And I'm grateful that I did. But, now I don't see my position my former position is very tenable or good. But, we're allowed to change, right?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think that... Oh, go ahead, Steph.
Yeah, and in that respect, it's like, it's your beliefs are your beliefs. And I don't care what... I do care what your beliefs are, because I think it's hurtful to carry beliefs with absolutely no justifiable reason for carrying those beliefs as beliefs. But I'm more concerned with what you do with them. And if Rebekah finds solace in the Bible to provide a foundation for treating people humanely, fine. Sal obviously doesn't. He reads the same text and comes to completely opposite conclusions, right, and actually feels that those texts command him to actually hate me and people like me.
Right.
So it's not and there are atheists who carry the same beliefs as Sal without hardly any reason. Justification from a God. So
Yeah.
it's the actions that matter to me in a practical way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so for as far as Rebekah is concerned, you guys have way more experience with both of these critters than I do. I'm happy. I'd be happy to debate Rebekah's Christian positions, etc., and so forth. But I'm certainly not going to challenge her personal moral decision to treat LGBTQ people with a degree of compassion and humanity, and not be, I don't know, superciliously superior.
Right. Yeah. No, like she's definitely in a better position. Like, to me, this is just, it's fun because they did a silly on the internet, and it's.
I mean, this is hysterically funny. I mean, are you kidding me? I'm laughing my ass off over here because you know they were all basically in a warm embrace, in a warm 69 for ages and ages and ages, and it's like, hey, what just happened? You know, Sal to Rebekah, honey, I think we got to break up. Well, what's the problem, Sal? You like gay people.
Pretty much.
That means God doesn't like you anymore.
It's unreal.
I mean, Sal is not looking good in this conversation.
Yes. And
it gets worse.
I said this takes me back to high school, but it really does, because as much as y'all know I like to beat down on Rebekah, let me keep it straight. Rebekah, you're better off without him. I'm just saying, you know? Like,
get that boy and find another one of your own kind. Stick to your own kind.
Yeah. Stick to your own kind. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think she'll be just fine. She'll be just fine. But Sal, this is a problem, buddy. Sal doesn't seem like he's the type that has an agent, but if I was Sal's agent, I would be like, y'all kicked who out of the band?
I believe that's what God is doing in this present time. And it saddens me, Sal, that you would completely ditch our friendship because of this issue. And but you know, I will just pray for you that God will, you know, open your eyes to what I think he's doing in the world right now.
I want to say you've articulated that very well, and I don't know what to call with ditching friendship or not. I mean, you'll always be in my heart as someone very special.
Gang, do you see the breakupness of all of this? You'll always be in my heart as someone very special.
And
I'll never forget the times we shared.
My love for you is especially strong.
Yeah, that's right, Carrie. Oh man.
So I don't know how to characterize this.
Look.
Except that.
Oh, I'm always here for the Sal tears.
Like it is an issue of conviction and what I think is God's calling me to do. So we're in a situation you feel God has called you to one path, and I'm in a situation where I feel God's called me to another. This is not without precedent.
Gang, do y'all know what I just fucking realized?
What?
This literally might be the second time I've ever actually found Sal Cordova actually entertaining. The first time was the books. Y'all remember the shit with the books? When he was going through the mention of incompleteness theorem.
Wait.
Of incompleteness theorem. He got in a debate with Nate, and they started talking about some mathematical theory that Sal didn't know. And Sal stormed off to the back of his apartment, his place, and he got some books. And he started going through the books. And he was like, no mention of incompleteness. And he was slamming them down. And look at this one. And no mention of incompleteness there. And look at this one.
So
no
good.
mention of incompleteness theorem. Yeah. And then this. Oh my goodness. Sal's content is so dry. It is so hard to watch. It's like, you know, and let me just say, like, me and Sal really don't like each other, but I can't even like do more Sal stuff because he lacks any charisma. Like he's not even a good opponent. Like beating him up is like you have to get through too much of him to like see me do violence to him, and it's not a good show. It's not a good show. But this is great, Sal. Way to go. Way to go.
You know, at this point, we both now have, well, we don't have more subs than Rebekah, but we both have more subs than Sal's channel where this airs.
Maybe. Am I putting Sal? We're giving Sal.
Well, it might seem like to people in the chat or people who watch us back later that we're punching down, right? But we really aren't, because Sal has been platformed by Modern Day Debate, other channels to promote his ideas and propagate, you know, his evidence and reasons to believe in Christianity with all this scientific, you know, stuff or whatever. And, you know, I think this is a great case study of how Christians do faction themselves when they can't reconcile scriptural data with lived experience and scientific data. They're gonna, you know, diverge with some combination of those where they just can't overcome the other part of the evidence, and they just can't handle it. So they have to go, whoosh, we're going this way, you go this way.
And in a way, it's a real the student becomes the teacher moment, because you know, Sal is supposed to be Rebekah's science tutor and her science guru. And now she's putting him on to the actuals and the factuals, which really shows you above all else how committed he is to the bigotry, because he knows that science supports the opposite position.
Right. precisely right. You know, here's the scientists being correct, the so-called scientists being corrected by the Bible thumper.
Right.
And the one thing I just wonder, I haven't watched this video at all. Is the money shot in the video when God comes down and smites one of these fuckers?
It needs to
because
be.
You would think that since they have both rested their case in the hands of Almighty God, that God might come and, you know, sort of
settle this matter,
into the channel and go, fuck you.
Yeah,
with a good smiting. You know, YouTube is missing that. It's missing a good smiting.
And I'm not preying on the violence. I'm just gonna say, God, if you're listening, hashtag Team Rebekah. You know, on this one, we're keeping Rebekah around. You know, and plus, gang, we got to do it for the content. No matter what we think, Rebekah's a way better streamer than Sal. Rebekah's way better streamer than Sal. It's not even comparable.
Where there was a fierce argument between Paul and another party, and they had to part ways. So there has been situations where within the family of the Lord, people have parted ways. So regarding
gang, please go fuck. There was another time when Sal was fucking entertaining. When Sal prayers are like a meme in this community, gang. Sal, because Sal was on stream and he started praying for all of the personal shit going on in the lives of the people in his chat, in his community by name. And it was like, this is why you don't tell Christians your business.
Well, then it's just, oh God.
Oh yeah, Sal prayers was a good time. Oh, it was a great time.
The science of what you say, and I felt you articulated that very well, and that's been deep in my heart as well. When people ask me about the gay LGBTQ issues, I said, well, look at the issue of Uzzah. He was a gentleman wanting to do what he felt was right in protecting the Ark of the Covenant, and all he merely did was try to keep it from falling on the ground, and God struck him dead. And there are things that God does that just doesn't, it's like, well, that seems kind of mean. And that, people are just trying to do what they think is right. And
Is Sal praying for the
So
Lord to
I get
strike
that.
Rebekah
I
dead?
get that.
I
I do thoroughly agree.
he's trying to figure it
there are
out. He is
scientific
trying to
issues
square that round hole.
where the brains of
I mean,
homosexuals are probably wired differently and can be physiologically demonstrated to be so. I myself, I know I
This is the
probably have
faith to
lower
him.
hormone
This is like the
who
Wait,
did
hold on,
that,
hold on.
Sal?
than
Hold on.
others. I mean, I'm kind of embarrassed to say that, but
No, listen closely to this part.
Oh, okay.
I'm clearly not the manly man that my dad was. So,
Nope.
and people can sense that I kind of like figure skating. I like watching that, but I'm definitely hetero. And in the Bible, there were eunuchs. And so there were effects, environmental effects, in that case, just horrible people castrating males. That
Chopping
Okay,
it off.
pause the tape.
tremendous
Pause the tape.
physiological effects.
So that's the movie interpretation of eunuch, right?
Yes.
Where you like what Charlton Heston's like 10 Commandments with the Egyptian eunuchs like standing there next to fucking Cleopatra or whoever the fuck they threw in there. But that's wrong, first of all. Like the idea that full castration is actually what happened in making a eunuch. That's not it. They do it the way they do it like on farms and shit, where you take a leather band, you strap up the testes until they're just suffocated.
Atrophied.
You can atrophied, and then you take those away, but that's it. You leave all the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you just kind of deal with that.
Exactly. Yeah. And so off the bat, right? And there were people who wanted to do that. It's not that it was evil people. Like, I'm sure there were rulers who were like, you're going to watch my bae and you ain't going to have no nuts.
Right.
End of story. Right. But there were people who were like, I want to do the sex and I don't want to get the peeps pregnant. So let's go. Like,
yeah, there are people who do that now, right? They're just like, yeah, let's
it was ancient vasectomy.
Yeah, exactly.
It just wasn't, popular.
I don't like babies, and I really don't like condoms.
No, yeah, it's a much more strenuous process than today. 2 or 3 days you're on the lam, after.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty quick and easy.
Actually, but
yeah. Hey, I'm with it. It sounds like a good idea.
I totally agree. The pesticides,
gender affirming care,
rewire brains. So there, I'm not disputing that. We also have androgen insensitivity. So are there male and female? It's like, well, there's male, there's female, and then we have this kind of middle ground where it's a tough call, because I've seen these androgen insensitive males. They look like females, and
they're not males, you asshole. That's they're fucking not males.
Yeah,
they're not males. What is Sal's definition of sex is strictly a chromosomal one, but it's not one that is it's not one that relates to how they were assigned at birth. It's not one that necessarily. He's just a simpleton when it comes to what biological sex is.
Yeah, and what's weird about it is that's the direction so many of the atheists and so-called progressives have been doing lately. When they get their 2 cents in there, it's just like, why? This is just a thing we should just be totally finished with saying. It's disgusting.
Legitimate difficulty. You could have Christians on both sides, even conservatives, say, this is an area we don't know how to deal with this class of individuals. So as far as the science, I'll say, yeah, they're, you know, for the LGBTQ issue, they're definitely males, born males and born females, and then maybe that very small subset that we have difficulty identifying. So that being said, if I would classify a male as someone, a sufficient but not necessary characteristic is if he has fathered children, he's definitely a male. And then if it's a female who is born children is definitely a female. In that case, I would say, you know, if a guy has left his wife and enters a gay relationship and tries to be married, I'd say, well, he's definitely a male. And, you know, not only leaving his wife, or let's say he had some union outside of marriage where he fathered a kid, he's definitely a male, even if he's attracted to other males. Let's say he had an incident like that. So I'm like, well, you know, even if his brain is different and that he's attracted to males, you know, God's law is God's law. It says marriage is between a man and a woman. And so just like the thing with us, it's like, sure, I totally get it that they, you know, unlike some Christians, they'll say, well, that's just, they have sinful desires. It's like, well, being hetero, you have lots of sinful desires too. And I mean, I've known what it's like to really long for someone. There was a married woman. I was just, I mean, we never did anything. I was just terribly attracted to her.
Honest to
That
God,
was
this guy's
definitely biological.
Wait.
So
I know you guys are shocked that they
So
didn't do
that's-
anything though, right?
that's my view, is that,
Just how's the
you know,
lady
just like
killer.
the case of us, it's like, well, this kind of unpleasant. It's tragic that someone has something in their brain and they're just, you know,
Tragic?
same-sex attraction.
Oh my God! Hold up. Pause.
Unlike
Pause the tape.
some,
B.S. Lewis, I might agree. He said, remember when Sal said there's this married woman that I was really, really attracted to? Well, that does describe Rebekah. She is a married woman, and Sal has
And they
spent a
didn't
lot
do
of time
any,
together.
and they didn't do anything. So yeah, I mean, it checks out actually.
Christians, I'll
Told
say
on
that's probably
himself.
going to be really hard to unwire. You can't, you know, all these therapies to change that. I'm just like, well, you know, it's, if it's rooted in their biology, it's going to be really rough. So I mean, it's really rough being a heterosexual, and it's a cross to bear sometimes when you're in situations that where you know, God has called you to behave a certain way, and you're like, why? I mean, just even a simpler example, we have issues where husband and wife are not compatible and they don't like each other. And, you know, I've had relatives, female relatives that were in unhappy marriages, and I would have been
And they made
delighted
a
if the guy
mistake?
just was gone and I didn't know what to say. So with regarding being affirming, what if there's a chance, okay, just putting myself in Rebekah's position, if I were a minister, what if there were a chance that I was wrong? I could feel comfortable saying, look, let's just hypothetically say that there might be a chance this is okay for a gay couple to marry. But if there's a chance that it's not, then I would err on the side of caution. I'd say, look, you know,
What a stupid thing to
if
say.
you don't marry, I can guarantee you've not sinned. If you do, I cannot guarantee that.
Gang, if
Yeah.
you didn't check out the last stream we did, please do, because we reviewed the reverse Christianity, and it just, that's what this keeps making me think of, is he is the person who perfectly fits that meme of like, Christianity is actually a moral test, and if you believe, you fail it. And
Well,
it's like, no, you're the asshole. You take the risk of us, you know, isolating people and ostracizing them because they're pro LGBTQ, like you're an asshole.
Yeah, Kata said it perfect. The Pascal's wager of bigotry. I was gonna say it's Pascal's marriage. Like
exactly.
It's like,
exactly.
if I don't marry you, I know God will be happier.
Yeah, and so many. This is just wrong. Like even when I was a Christian, I thought this was wrong, right? I'd be like, no, because I'd be like Rebekah, like, no, because your God's gonna judge you because you failed to love, and which is, God,
That's
back when I used to
I would be. It's
think
like,
life was Harry Potter.
100% sure that God is approving. I would say, look, hey, I know you've been dealt a really bad hand, but wouldn't it be better not to be sinning against God? And for sure you may have been separated for something you really love. And I have faced that personally, because there's the question of marriage and remarriage after divorce. And I was like, well, there are a lot of girls that are divorced that I'd be interested in marrying. And I'm like, well, this is kind of tough, because I know I could sleep at night if I don't marry them, but it'd be really nice to marry them. And so I would just say, erring on the side of caution. With regard to trans, I just call it like a truth in advertising. A trans quote unquote woman is someone that is born male, and I've defined kind of how the sufficient way we can measure it. So there's one guy who's 55 years old. He fathered like 8 kids, and then he declared himself to be a 6-year-old girl.
Oh boy!
And like whatever he had.
Do you know that guy? What's his name?
Physically, he was a man. And so I would say truth in advertising. It's like, okay, I think people are entitled to know that you were a father, and that means you're physiologically a father, and what you're doing is not what society would customarily call being a woman. And so there is a distinction between a quote unquote trans woman and a woman that was born that way, born as a.
And this, to me, like this is the image of trans people in their head is just these frauds. That's what they think. That cosplayer, people who want to cosplay as the opposite gender or whatever the fuck. It's, go ahead, Steph. It's just fucking sorry. Steph look like you're nothing.
So just on the basis of speaking truth,
Steph's still here.
I would say that there's definitely a distinction.
I'm still here, but my gob is too busy being smacked to say anything.
That also means that they're going to be treated differently. So I totally agree that there are things physiologically that can happen that will alter the brain. And I'm kind of taking the conservative route, is that we could, Jesus said, it's better to have a millstone hung around your neck and cast in the sea if you cause one of these little ones to stumble. And I'd say, well, look, I'm going to, even let's just grant that we have an ambiguous situation here. Should we err on the side of caution? And I'm like, yeah, because what if come judgment day, God said, hey, look, you didn't take the safest route, did you? And that's where I am. So,
well, I understand that, but I have weighed this, Sal, about which side is more costly, which side would I rather err on? Okay. And I'm going to err on the side of loving and embracing people, because I believe that's what God would want. My God is a lot nicer than yours. Let's just put it that way. Okay.
Yes.
And so you're going to focus on Uzzah. And you know what? I'm going to focus on David, who also broke the law when he went into the temple and he ate from the consecrated bread and gave his men the consecrated bread. He could have been killed like Uzzah, but actually Jesus commended him for it, because he knew that it was more important to take care of his men, that the law was not made to prevent and restrict human life. And I see the fallout of the rejection, the isolation, the horrible things that have happened and continue to happen to gay people just for something they cannot control, for trans people, for something they cannot control. And we're treating them as if it's sin when it's something natural. And that, I think, is extremely consequential. And I know when I stand before God,
Sal's face.
he knows that I have sought his heart on this. Am I 100% sure? No, but I feel like God has given me enough direction that I'm confident that I'm erring on the right, that I'm going the right direction. And to go the opposite direction would be to contribute to extreme pain, suffering, and heartache on the part of people who are completely innocent. And when Jesus commended David for breaking the law, he said, if you knew what this meant, I desire mercy, not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the innocent. And so what does that mean in our context? Is the answer, we all need to sacrifice, gay people need to sacrifice, trans people need to sacrifice, we all need to sacrifice? Or is the answer, we all need to have mercy? If we all knew the meaning of mercy, then we would not be condemning the innocent. So that's, that's where I think God is on this matter.
So for me,
Can I just say a word?
Yeah.
I just want to say a word about Sal's take on, mostly trans issues, but also on his approach to homosexuality. It's all based, it seems to me, on his own. He's got a checklist to go down. I doubt that when I'm sure he probably doesn't frequent bars because they're not godly. But let's suppose there is a trans person in his church and he doesn't know that.
Right.
And he sits down, he goes to the have coffee and donuts after the service and starts chatting this person up. Does he go through that checklist in order to ascertain whether he's talking to a real person or a fake person? Because that is essentially what he is saying. You have to fit these criteria in order for me to have any idea as to how to categorize your sex or your gender. So it's all dependent on you. It's not dependent on God.
Yeah, and Sal,
I'll treat you as if my own perception of you is male or female, society is such that I will treat you that way and call you whatever name you have introduced me, that you've been introduced me to as, and I won't question this. I mean, it's basically the assumption that all trans people are it's the we can always tell phenomenon.
Yeah.
And the plain fact of the matter is, you can't.
You can't. And you can't. Yeah, and
it's all based in actual
Sure.
public, in actually walking in the world as a trans person. You can't tell. You make your presumptions on the fly, and whether it's a cis person or a trans person, sometimes you get it wrong because the cues aren't there, because this person behaves more stereotypically in line. Your assumptions are as to what's male behavior, what's female behavior, the way a person carries themselves, the way they physically appear, a whole cluster of things go into your determination. And short of asking them to drop trowel, And even in certain circumstances, you can't tell that way either. You're just, what's the drill here, dude?
Mm. Mm.
You're asking God to tell you whether this person is worthy of your treating as a normal human being or not. I mean, it's just, and it's not just Sal. It's just his presumption is bizarre. And I think Rebekah is just sort of maybe. A lot of folks will buy everything that Sal had to say about chromosomes, about genome, about this, about reproductive success or lack thereof, a whole bunch of stuff. And you notice that lack of reproductive success has been is quite biblical. With Sarah being barren until the age of 98, until God showed his favor.
Yeah. What was she not a woman until
she was 90
rekindled the womb?
Right.
No, she was because Sal knows she
sure.
was a real woman who was born biologically a woman, which is to say that she wasn't cis, she wasn't trans, right? Because that's their definition at the end of the day.
But his definition he gave earlier would contradict that.
Sure, I get so irritated when they won't say what they really want to say. Just tell me you won't accept the definition of woman that includes trans women, so we can get on with it, right? Because
so I want to back up on something he said earlier when you said, "Give us the name of that 50-year-old person who identifies as a trans 6-year-old." Okay, so I did some digging while the clip played. And I found the shitty propagandist article on this person from the Daily Wire or Daily Mail or whatever the fuck. And then I actually then found a corrective Reddit thread that I'm more apt to believe because of its wall of text explaining the conditions and legal complexities that this person faced as a result of their familial rejection during their transition to a both cultural and bodily woman. Now, the Daily whatever article was just 10 lines and one picture, right? So informative, rage bait, complete misrepresentation of the entire situation. The key takeaways that you have from this person are the following. 1, Stephanie Walsh did not willingly leave their responsibility as a father of 7 right off the bat. So this when Sal said this person wanted to be trans to just get rid of their family and kids, wrong.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
They were actively undergoing therapy. The wife put a restraining order on Walsh to keep Walsh away from their children because she stated, we don't want them getting the gay. So the bigotry just, went through the roof. This person tried to transition. So it may have exacerbated some psychological issues, trauma, depression, whatever, on that already makes transitioning so difficult.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is that Walsh never demanded that anyone in the news media or even their own family treat them as if they were 6 years old. Never once.
Oh, of course.
So, but the 6-year-old thing is a result of the trauma and it's a way to cope. So it's not that this person began to identify themselves as a 6-year-old woman. It's that they were, damn it, my stream is lagging. If I'm roboting, sorry.
No, you're not.
You sound good here. Yeah.
You sound good here.
Okay, am we good? Okay, so it's not that this person started off and was like, "Whoa, I'm a 6-year-old woman now. Everybody deal and get my, training pants on. Take me to kindergarten. Let's start over." No. They were going through the normal process of transition, and then things went downhill, and they have developed this way to cope with reality that was basically they were being infantilized by everyone
trauma
else around
response.
them.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what's best for you. We know what's best for you. Just sit down, shut up, and let's treat you how we believe you should be treated. Medically, familially, all of it, or we'll give you tremendous life consequences. We'll kick you out of your home. We'll financially emasculate you. Emasculate's a bad word. Financially handicap you with child support, or maybe even prison time for trying to see your children. Like, pile it on as threats to that person's well-being. What else? You know what I mean? Like, set your expectations differently now. Like, think about that.
This is a lot.
There you go.
So much to go through. All right. Well, thanks for the update.
But here's the problem, right? Some motherfucker like Sal gets fed this, clip, and then just tosses it out there as evidence in favor of their case. Like, look, trans makes you a terribly mental ill person and will lead to these awful outcomes. And you don't want to go like that, do you? Fuck.
Yeah. He doesn't. He has to delegitimize the experience of these people to fit into his little fucking globe, his little bubble. Has to. Necessary.
It was God that executed the judgment. Who am I to execute judgment on someone else? So we are not in an era where even in the New Testament, where Jesus said, let him who has not sinned cast the first stone. So I'm not going to be, literally casting stones, or I just want to make that clear to the viewers. I'm going to let God be the judge. And there are situations where God will punish people for their sins, and I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to call upon them to be punished, but there are going to be consequences. And I don't know that I could pray with someone who is a practicing homosexual and he's professing the name of Christ.
Look at this. Look at Rebecca's face.
Look at her
No,
face.
but how many gay Christians do you know?
Oh my God.
Oh,
all right.
Like, how many people who? Okay, maybe you'll say, well, you.
Okay, all right. So there was a situation where there was someone who was gay and I didn't know it, and we fellowshipped and prayed, and then I found out he was homosexual. That was kind of the
you could always tell.
Not because
his gaydar was broken.
Disliked him as a human being, but this is around the time that we didn't know what AIDS were, and I was really kind of afraid.
Whoa! Back that up 10 seconds.
And he could tell. But this is around the time that we didn't know what AIDS were, and I was really kind of afraid.
Honey, I knew what gays were in 1971. I don't know.
No, I thought he said.
AIDS.
He said AIDS. This motherfucker is on
AIDS. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know what AIDS was in 1971 because it didn't really hit until the 80s. But there you go.
But it's the idea that just by being around a gay person, you can catch the AIDS.
Well, the guy understood that he was afraid, uneasy about it
because of that. That's how deep the bigot indoctrination goes.
Yeah, he didn't say, because he didn't say the guy had it.
That I know.
Okay, so
But again, he says 0 that he knows. So Steph, I was just gonna say that. Sorry, but this just backs up your point that to him, it's on other people. Like, he can be okay with you if he doesn't know. Right, so it's on you to keep it under wraps.
Stay in the closet.
That's your struggle. Stay in the closet. So,
right,
and then you can be okay. And then it's poor him if he happens to find out that you're somebody he's called to hate. It's just
which is why I say, what does he do? Go in with the interview card with the checklist and say, "Hi, I'm Sal Cordova. I just have a couple of questions. Do you like cock?
before
Do
we
you
get
have a
this
cock?
started.
By the way, could you describe your cock?" I mean, he's doing a whole Bill Maher thing. Oh, could you describe this trans woman's cock to me? It's like, what the fuck's the matter with you?
How big was your cock at
Who
birth?
even asks questions like that?
Oh, it's
Oh
terrible.
my god.
This is great.
Maybe before making the judgment, you should get to know some gay Christians.
Good one, Rebekah. She was on him. That was good. She got him. She got him.
I actually don't know any, and I wouldn't want to associate with them.
Wouldn't want to associate with them.
If they profess Christ, okay, if they don't profess Christ and they tell me they're gay, my understanding in the New Testament is we can have actually a conversation. It's when they profess Christ and they're gay. That's my interpretation in the New Testament, is you're supposed to dissociate as a testimony that is not part of Christianity.
Dissociate as a
not to be.
testimony.
That doesn't reflect the church. That's my
Niddy, you hear that cult shit? I
extrapolation
know
from
you
the
know what that's
passages
about.
in
It's crazy.
Corinthians. I think it's 1 Corinthians chapter 5.
But it's crazy how explicit about it. He's like, this is a need for us to dissociate. The scripture and church practice calls me to cut off from you.
I have a God reason that I can always play that card.
I have a God reason. It's a crazy God thing. And we're literally watching two people have this, 40-minute conversation about their interpretation of what God wants. And it's scary to me that this is considered normal adult functioning. And that they both apparently thought it was a good idea to do this on air. Now that we're thankful for. It was so stupid, but we're very glad that you did.
And I want to say a couple of things about AIDS too. Sal's beliefs didn't happen in a vacuum. The media was calling it the gay plague. The New York Times, it was in the pages of the New York Times as the gay plague. When the story first broke, everybody thought about Kaposi sarcoma, people coming down with these usually rare illnesses. That time was immensely petrifying for a lot of people. Gay men, particularly, their friends, their families, people were dying and nobody knew why. And meanwhile, you had the Bible thumpers and the national press basically saying it's God's punishment in so many words or straight out.
Right.
So it's not weird that Sal, if he grew up in that era, was born in that era, lived through that era, was infected by a very bad popular perception that Ronald Reagan, probably his hero, was all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone in the chat asks, Chris Moore asks, can you be a gay Christian? Now, that was a convoluted, can I diverge for a minute?
Sure.
So in my former church, our general answer was that yes and no. And here's why. We could say something like, you can struggle with same-sex attraction, same-sex desire, same-sex lust for a behavior, but as long as you don't act on it, as long as you're seeking the Holy Spirit and God's presence and remaining celibate and abstinent, and then you can be a gay Christian. Like, that's the kind of gay we'll take.
Well, everybody's accountable to God, so you have to understand that you're going to be accountable to God.
Yes, it's the same. It's basically, just to expand it, to broaden it out a little bit, so long as you don't partake in this fundamental aspect of being human, you're okay by me.
Right. Right.
Well, and the really sad and frustrating part is that the way in which that logic is legitimized in that particular church was this. And get your barf bag ready, y'all. It's, you as a Christian, if you struggle with alcohol, you wouldn't want everyone around you just handing you beers and trying to enable you to sin.
Mm,
No.
mm.
So just like we wouldn't let an alcoholic drink, we wouldn't let a friend be enacting gay stuff.
Yeah. I actually had a Sunday school teacher who I remember said at one point, I remember him saying this shit, that he would be offended if somebody else had alcohol out at their place. Like, since you knew he's a Christian, you need to keep your alcohol out of his sight in your home. I was like, that seems like a bit much. But my thing about being a gay Christian, and I've taken flack from this from people like Fuckface Doug. Yeah, I think you could be a gay Christian, but I don't think you should be. I think it's like being a coon. I think it's kind of like cooning, because and I feel the same way about being a black Christian. Can you be a black Christian? Fucking apparently, the people act like the majority of black people in this country are, but I don't think you should be, because that religion was forced upon our ancestors in their enslavement and has been an instrument in the oppression of black people, and that's foundational to this country. And Christianity still to this day continues to be pivotal to the brand of white supremacy. So yeah, you could be a black Christian, but you aren't doing black people any favors. And that's how I feel about being a gay Christian. Like, this is America, baby. Worship however you want to worship. But I personally think it's the same. This is my overall problem with Rebekah's, friendlier version of Christianity. And again, as an internal critique, please become more inclusive. But until you have found a way to change how foundational this bigotry plays out in your church, in your cult, and also how much your cult is the foundation of bigotry against the LGBT community in this country, I cannot in good consciousness encourage LGBTQ people to participate in the church, because I don't think it's a safe place for them. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it comes down to for me. Go ahead.
My church was like a trapdoor spider, where you'd be walking in, you're like, oh, everything's fine here. Like, it's just a normal dusty hillside. Whoa, shit! Like, pulled in, man. I'm being told I'm a sinner. I'm vile. I need to convert, and I need to. I need to deny my fundamental self, and I got to go to this therapist and take this medicine. And oh my God, what happened?
Yeah, it's crazy. Go ahead, Lena. Hey, Lena. Good to see you. We can't hear you. I think you gotta do a voice. You gotta do a voice meter
thing.
Me
now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
There we go.
Hey.
Oh, this has been a fun night. This has been enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've obviously been to churches and been there when they speak their mind about the LGBTQ community. And that's my thing about selling this friendly, inclusive Jesus, is it's just, using a honey trap for the bigots.
It is such a dance that they do. It's all performative. It's all overly cautious, because they know that they're stepping on eggshells when they shouldn't be, or they don't need to be. And it's just really obvious from the outside.
Yeah.
I hope that her audience listens to her. You know, I hope that they see through Sal and that they, you know, choose the more liberal Christian side of things. But you know me, I'm holding out for them to just ditch it all entirely.
Yeah, yeah, of course, of course. I do. I think she's gonna win the breakup for sure. I think Sal needs her way more than she needs him. I think he undermines her branding. You know, she's really going towards more of that preacher branding, and even though she um has her secondary channel like examining origins or whatever it used to be, examining evolution, I think even over there she needs to play it more naive. She doesn't want to be, you know, in bed, quote unquote, with a weasel like Sal. So yeah, and like Sal is just the death of charisma. So yeah, I just don't, I think she's better off without him. I really do.
I think it's telling that they don't have a debate or, you know, put this on MDD. Like it's this Christian infighting that there's no right answer to because you can interpret the book however you want. It really is cafeteria Christianity at its finest.
Yeah,
So I'm
absolutely.
glad that she's picking up healthy food and not the crap that Sal's trying to feed her, but
Yeah,
she's
and
still got a lot of shit on her plate.
I'm just happy to watch their tag team go down in flames. You know, this is for all the wrestling fans out there. Y'all know there's only so many factions that are committed to staying together. You know, everybody else is going to turn on each other. You know, this is wrestling. It's what we do around here. This is, you know, the tag team's going to break up and they're going to fight. And so you got to really find some real people that's down for life. Otherwise, y'all going to turn on each other. And this is the turn. It finally came. It finally came. And yeah, it's you know, Rebekah comes out of this, I think, definitely looking like the good guy. Sal's the asshole, and yeah, he's not going over. He's trash.
So, I mean, um, I totally get that they're having a lot of pain, and
Just
I'm grateful that
he just don't
I don't
care,
have to
huh?
deal with what they're confronted with, because that's just, I mean, I did hear a pastor who was not a practicing homosexual, and he said he had this strong same-sex attraction. He realized that when he was like age 15, he was at a wedding,
He
and he
was
just
lying.
kept just deeply attached. You know, he saw another guy at the wedding. Nothing happened, but and he
I
went on to
guarantee
some
you,
of,
he was one of them. He was one of them pastors where his deacon conspicuously matched him from head to toe every Sunday. Yeah, there's a reason.
he become a pastor, and he said it's just really hard. He's single the rest of his life, and I was just like, I can't imagine the agony he's going through. And
What are these
I,
anecdotes supposed to do?
you know, many heterosexuals were just like, wow, this
Oh,
guy's
that's
awesome.
such a great question, Lena. They're
Going
really
through one ear and out the other with Rebekah. She's just sitting there like
exactly. They're supposed to make him seem like he really struggles with this bigotry. Like again, that it's to convey how hard this is on him.
Right. It's not
You know,
to.
oh,
all
Sal,
copium.
Sal, 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 Sal. You know, and don't
It's
you
so
know the old
sad.
saying, practice makes perfect? You know, it's like you want to be a practicing homosexual. How the hell are you supposed to get there?
Sal is a
Fucking idiot.
practicing bigot. I mean, he's struggling with it.
Oh wait! I know. I get it.
Is.
I get it. The anecdotes are to help him legitimize and justify his belief and behavior.
Yeah, they're literally so he
They're
can
they're,
go.
they're yeah, they're proof that he stands with God.
I can't
See,
imagine what
Rebekah,
that.
this is what it takes to stand with God on this issue.
100% exactly, Nitty. I can't believe what that man had to go through. I can't even imagine. It must have been so hard. And
The
now it's so
trials and
tough on me that
tribulations.
I have to ignore that and dismiss you from my life because it just doesn't matter.
And oh, how pious is me.
Absolutely. So I actually was on a worship team once with a person who really struggled with this as a Christian. So I'm gonna tell you how bad it was. Their faith struggle, I'm gonna put as charitably as possible, was basically that they went out of their way to minister to LGBTQ people. And then they were frustrated when they weren't well received by those people. And then, we were constantly having to deal with the fact that they were like torn to pieces. But this is how bad it was. They got a job at, let's just say, a well-known queer hangout, like a place owned, operated in large cuts. So you put yourself in that fire. And then you're like, I don't know why when I go to the center of the resiliency of the LGBTQ community locally, nobody likes me proselytizing them and telling them they're a bunch of filthy sinners. And it's just so hard. Why doesn't everybody want me to tell them that they're going to hell? You know, and it was like, and again, I'm gonna tell you the sad part is you would really feel bad for her because she was really going through it. Like, this is how stupid all of this is. Because, like, to her, there was a genuine commitment. She was genuinely felt called there. She was trying to do what she felt like God had called her to do. She was trying to love these people into the Lord. It's not fucking working. And she's like, why is my life this incredible thing where I'm trying to love on people and I've become the most unpopular person at my place of work, and they probably only don't fire me because it would clearly be for my religious beliefs. You know, and to give more credit where credit's due, unfortunately, our, you know, marginalized communities are just resilient to this type of shit. They don't trip. But you know,
We try to be.
yeah. It's just like, it's just really like, you just really see like, wow, like that's the conviction. And that's kind of what Sal is doing right now. He feels like he's doing the pious Jesus thing, and you know, Rebekah's gone soft and he can't go there.
And I kind of wish Rebekah would flip the script on him and weaponize threat of hellfire in the same direction. I mean, she kind of implied it, but she didn't really,
Right,
insinuate it the way that Sal did.
Yeah, no, yeah. She just put it to more like she was going the right way. But yes, you're right, hitting at that. And honestly, that's that reverse Christianity. Like, that's how
You're going to hell, Sal.
see it. Yeah, Christianity's a test, and you fucking failed it.
So that's the only one. I don't know him personally, but he's not living out what his strongest passions are because he feels it's wrong, and I really respect him for it. I cannot imagine the agony that he's going through.
What an awful thing to say.
So
Try.
that's not really a direct answer to your question, but I do know that's the one person I know of whom I have the greatest respect for. So,
well, some of the best Christians I know are gay, Sal, and married.
That was,
let me
you
say
know,
this.
lovely,
Some of
Rebekah.
See, there you go. That's putting
best
That's
people
the
I know
spirit.
in love.
Yeah.
Don't share my theology.
And again, like, real quick, like, we do want to give her due. We do want to give her due. In today's climate, to just come out and just, you know, no bullshit, no beat around the bush. Some of the best Christians I know are homosexuals. Again, I'm not saying they should be, but
She's coming out.
That's she into it, you know. And look, I noticed this even during Pride. Like, Rebekah's committed to this thing. You know, she really does think that, you know, Christianity needs to be more inclusive, and that, you know, the accepting interpretation is the right one and that the church is misguided. I don't want to bullshit on that, y'all. It's like she's trying.
That's okay, Sal. I forgive you. I'll miss you.
Yes, you too.
Look. Look at him.
Well, on other notes, I'm not planning on erasing any of the existing videos we've made or the projects we have done. It was a great accomplishment. I am in situations where I do have to work with people on a scientific basis who might, you know, okay, so they're Seventh-day Adventists, they're Catholics, they're Presbyterians, etc., and you know, theologically they will not get along. I think we haven't really had a conversation what we're going to do about our scientific work together, and
I would suggest to Rebekah that she stay away from
I
Sal's
don't feel that
interpretation of biology,
wanting
at
to
least.
close that door,
Yep, 100%, and that's been the problem all along.
even, you know, anything else that we professionally engaged in. So that's kind of the tough thing. So I'm not saying we have to resolve that today, but I am gonna miss you.
Look at his chest. Wait. Yo, that was the heaviest breath Sal has ever taken in his life. Just I'm gonna roll it back. Just watch his whole upper torso convulses.
But I am gonna miss you.
Okay, Sal. Well, I mean, like I said, this is all on you. So, you know,
If I may say to my audience, Rebekah has been the kindest person, in one of the kindest people in my life. After Mom died, she was someone I came to for advice and consolation.
Yeah, me too, Jason.
And certainly you, our audiences have seen us work together, and I think we were a fabulous team. So I really feel that Rebekah has articulated her position quite well. And we just simply don't agree. But that's all I have, you know. I really can't say much else. I'd like to thank you for your willingness to share your viewpoint, and we'll leave it at that.
well, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you.
And thank you for your friendship. You've been a wonderful friend, wonderful partner in,
Damn, it's really over, y'all.
various projects we've done.
Well, this is kind of like family too. I mean, what if we had, you know, what if I did have a gay uncle? It's like, well, he's still family. And I feel like that about
Forget
you.
about that health thing, huh, Sal?
Because we both have
Seriously
our ministry and our representation of the Christian faith. It's like, well, you'll never stop being family to me personally.
I just can't talk to you anymore. Just ridiculous.
But it is a way that I can.
God commands me to
it's
shun you.
There's certain viewpoints I support and I don't. And anyway.
So anyway,
I understand.
bye.
I think you're making a mistake, but
Oh,
I know you're a man of conviction,
shit.
so
She told him, y'all. I think
can
you're
I do?
making a mistake. Oh shit.
What can any of us do? You take care, Rebekah.
Oh man.
okay, you too, Sal.
Oh man.
Bye-bye.
This was absolutely atheist Christmas in the middle of the summer. Oh my goodness. Oh, that was just taking me back to high school. The drama, the romance, the breakups. He said, she said, did you hear it? Oh, it was wonderful.
Will
But in the
I
end, we're on.
see you in September,
Yep. No, Becky
or
gonna have a
will
new
I
boyfriend.
lose you to a summer love?
Yep. Yeah, Becky gonna have a new boyfriend. Yep, she coming out with her. She coming out with her best clothes on the first day of school. Oh man, but that's the crazy part, is hashtag Team Rebekah though, because she kept it. She tried to keep it woke, y'all. She was like, like I really was surprised that Sal was the one trying to call it quits. Two, I was super surprised that it was over this issue. I did not see that coming. But honestly, Rebekah really kind of held with it, and at some point she hit him with a couple of good ones, like, well, how many gay people do you know? Ooh, that was good one, Rebekah. Way to land real punches. But man, Dave said it started a while ago. All right, we got some more. Yeah, when they started to part ways. But yeah, I'm gonna kick it over to the panel real quick. Niddy, Steph, what are you guys thinking about all that?
I mean,
Well-
like I said before, this is just a wonderful display of how sincere, but when I could no longer identify myself as a Christian anymore, and I started to go through Christian YouTube, one of the most distressing things in trying to decide or understand what I believed and why was seeing stuff like this, where it's like they both believe they have the Holy Spirit. They're both reading the same book. And here I go. I can find hundreds more channels doing the same damn thing. And they would happily go on a stream with each other and do what we watched right now. And so I just felt it insurmountable to be sincere at all in trying to believe what any of them believe, because it seems like none of them could be true at this point. And I was like, well, damn, this is it. I'm done. Or part of the reason I was done.
I feel you. Sorry, Steph. Go ahead. I should have queued that up better, but appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'm new to this. I'm new to the Sal Wars and the Rebekah Wars and all of that stuff, so I don't really have too much to say. I just think this. I said from the get, or at least when I joined, I am glad Rebekah has moved her views towards being accepting towards LGBTQ people as fully human, fully deserving of participation in human activity as who they are, without shame for something that is a part of their nature, and for her taking the view that God don't make no junk. I am glad that she's doing that, and I am particularly glad, as I said in your chat before I jumped into the stream, I am glad that she's willing to preach that gospel in that language to Sal, because I know I can't. I know I can't. I am not going to have you can go into a debate room or something and talk to Praise or talk to any number of Cerberus or any number of these folks, and you won't make it. There's no impact there.
Right.
Because from the get-go, the voice is muted in their own head. But when someone like Rebekah is willing to do it, she has a little bit more of a leg to stand on in terms of they'll still reject it. And as she found out with Sal, it's like, I can't deal with you anymore. and this is the, this is a lesson she's going to learn about the rigidity of belief that excludes people, and she's going to have to make that choice. And it appears that at least for the moment, she has. And so, kudos to Rebekah for doing it. But that's a piece of drama she's not going to be able to escape, because she can't do the I'm not talking to atheists anymore. What's she going to do? Not talk to Christians anymore?
Right.
It's not gonna work for her.
And
so she's gonna have to figure that stuff out. And you guys are in a way better position to address the former part, which is likewise a piece of Rebekah's evolution of late,
right?
That I really can't speak to, because I don't know the history that you guys have.
Well, there's been times in her videos after she's done live streams on this issue where there's, Christians just assaulting her with scripture and saying, "You've lost your way. How can you say you love Jesus?" So like you said, Steph, are you going to stop dealing with Christians now?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and she's going to have to work it out. And that's kind of my thing with, I'm with you, Steph. I'm glad she's accepting, and I'm really glad she's willing to speak out on that side of the issue as a Christian. I just think that this is part of a larger reckoning that Christians need to do, and at some point they need to really do some inventory, I think, as to how likely are they to win this fight. And it's tough when I think the Bible works against you, and I think the predominant Christian culture and ideology are working against that. But again, it's like, please continue the effort. Just understand that we may not be so excited to get the LGBT community back into the church as you are, but we're happy to hear that the church is working on cultural change. I think the same thing with black people. I think if most black people went to a white church, which is most churches, and did that thing where they made Jesus black, or they presented like a manger scene and all the people were black, I think the reaction would quickly tell them, yeah, they don't really think this religion is about black folks. But
sounds like a midlife crisis. Next stream will be with a red Corvette. I think you're right.
But of course, I want Christianity in that same vein to be, less racist. So it is what it is. But yeah, gang, let's wrap this on up. That was a good time. Let's head together and hang out a little bit for the after party. I want to get some food before I head to bed, and yeah, we'll hang out there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was super fun. There are links down in the description for Niddy and Steph. Make sure you subscribe to them, and go ahead and give the video a like and a comment over on their channels. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks to Niddy and Steph for joining me. And do you guys want to say anything else? Go ahead before we sign off.
Stephanie first.
I got nothing. It's kind of fun engaging in this kind of thing. And this was really for Brad and Sal to have this little contribution to the discourse has been both amusing and actually rather good. I think. I don't think it does. I'm with Rebekah. I think Sal's making a mistake.
I think Sal's making a mistake. Yeah. Go ahead, Niddy.
I mean, this definitely, when I was kind of frustrated with Rebekah over the whole, I'm banning all the atheists. Rawr! I'm almost tempted to send her an email about this and be like, I may be blocked or hidden or whatever, but good on you for this one.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know how often we gonna say it, but damn,
I am hidden on
like,
her channel. I checked.
oh no, she has me blocked all over the place. But yeah,
Hi, Shannon.
hashtag Team Rebekah. Hey Shannon, wow, super excited. Hey Shannon, I'm sorry we're ending the show, but so glad to see you here. Hopefully we'll see you again.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you next time. Said I'm gone.